King Charles is gone. In a shocking overnight turn, he passed away at Balmoral, and within hours, Prince William was crowned king. Catherine stood beside him, now queen. The monarchy didn't wait. The crown moved fast, too fast for grief. This is how everything changed. Before dawn. The final hours of King Charles III. July 18th, 2025. Balmoral Castle, once the Queen's haven, became the place where Britain quietly lost its monarch. King Charles III, aged 76, passed peacefully in the early evening, surrounded by close family, including Princess Anne and Queen Camilla. Just days before, the king was seen at a public engagement in Gloucestershire, frail yet still shaking hands. Many thought he looked tired, but no one guessed the truth. He insisted on going, and aide shared. He didn't want people to worry. In reality, he had been silently fighting advanced stage cancer since early 2024, a diagnosis the palace kept vague to avoid panic. Behind the palace walls, he had been in and out of hospital visits for nearly a year. Aides later revealed that the king handled treatment remarkably well, often signing documents from his hospital bed. But in the 24 hours before his death, things took a sharp turn. A sudden complication, believed to be related to respiratory failure, led to a rapid decline. The palace broke the news at 11:58 p.m., releasing a two-line statement confirming his passing. The nation had no time to prepare. Headlines across the world read the same line: "The king is gone." And just like that, the monarchy changed hands. "He didn't want a fuss," a source close to the family said. "He just wanted peace." Next came a phone call that would rewrite history by dawn. The midnight call that changed everything. At Onmer Hall, Prince William and Princess Catherine were putting the children to bed when the call came through. The line was secure, but the voice on the other end was shaking. "It's time. You need to come now." Without hesitation, William reportedly turned to Catherine and whispered, "We must be strong for them, now." They left the children in care of their trusted nanny and began the 3-hour drive to London, escorted by royal security. Back at Buckingham Palace, chaos had already begun. Senior aides were summoned. The accession protocol was triggered, a centuries-old rule that the throne must never be left vacant. That meant William became king instantly, even before sunrise. Insiders described the moment as surreal. An overwhelmed William reportedly told his private secretary, "It's happening too fast. I'm not ready." But by law and by tradition, there was no time for hesitation. The country had just lost a monarch. It now needed a new one. Phones rang non-stop through the night. Royal residences were notified. Members of the Accession Council were patched in digitally, a first in royal history. Within minutes, plans for an emergency coronation were set in motion. "We went from silence to history, unfolding in under 6 hours," said a palace insider. And just before dawn, a new king and queen were crowned in the shadows of grief. A coronation in the shadow of grief. By 4 a.m. on July 19th, 2025, the historic walls of Westminster Abbey were lit only by candlelight. There was no choir warming up, no rehearsals, no rehearsed pomp, just a room filled with grief, silence, and duty. A new king had to be crowned. But this wasn't a celebration. It was a royal emergency. King Charles III had passed less than 6 hours earlier. The moment his heart stopped at Balmoral Castle, the crown legally passed to Prince William. No delay, no time for tears. "The throne can never be empty," a palace aide whispered. "That's the law." But this was never how William imagined becoming king. As he stood beneath the towering arches, dressed in formal mourning black, his eyes showed it all: exhaustion, shock, and a deep ache no crown could hide. At 5:15 a.m., the Archbishop of Canterbury anointed him with the sacred oil of consecration, the same one used on his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, in 1953. There were no royal trumpets or cheering crowds, only the weight of history and the quiet breathing of a shaken family. At 5:42 a.m., Catherine, still in black, stepped forward. Her hands trembled slightly as the ceremonial crown was placed upon her head. And in that single moment, she became Queen Catherine. The children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, sat in the front pews, dressed in somber blues and grays. Prince George, now second in line to the throne, sat bolt upright, watching every detail. "He didn't blink," said one staffer. "He understood something big was happening." Even Queen Camilla, now Queen Dowager, attended quietly, sitting behind William. A witness claimed she leaned in and whispered, "He believed in you, William. You're ready." The entire coronation was done in under 50 minutes, with just 25 attendees, no media, and strict royal blackout. Yet, it may go down as one of the most emotional ceremonies in modern monarchy. "He became king in a cathedral of silence," said one royal historian. And that silence said more than any fanfare ever could. Outside the Abbey, the world still didn't know. But it was about to. And that's when everything shifted. Prince becomes king. The immediate transition. At 6 a.m., as the first glimmers of light broke across London's grey skyline, the BBC broke the news. Prince William was now King William V. The voice of the broadcaster cracked as she read the announcement. "His Majesty King Charles III has passed. Long live the King." In that moment, the headlines wrote themselves. Number sign King William exploded on social media, trending globally within 32 minutes. Across screens in Britain, Canada, Australia, and India, royal seals were replaced with new emblems, new titles, and a new chapter. Inside the palace, aides scrambled. The Accession Council, which traditionally meets in person at St. James's Palace, was conducted virtually for the first time in history. At 7:43 a.m., digital documents were signed confirming William's reign. Yet while the machinery of monarchy moved quickly, William moved like a man torn between duty and heartbreak. He told aides, "It's happening too fast," an insider said. He looked lost, like a son first, not a sovereign. Catherine, now queen, stayed firmly by his side. She reportedly took charge of the children's routine that morning, ensuring George, Charlotte, and Louis had breakfast, even as camera crews swarmed the palace gates. "We must keep them steady," she was heard telling a nanny. Palace staff described her as the only calm in a collapsing world, and William leaned on her again and again. "He's not just becoming king," one source said. "He's becoming the anchor for a country that just lost 2 monarchs in 3 years." By mid-morning, the black mourning banners were raised. Official portraits were removed. New ones would be commissioned in the months ahead. But inside Buckingham Palace, the grief was still raw. The halls still echoed with Charles's voice. And now, as the bells rang out for a new king, one question lingered in every corner of Britain. Can William carry it all? The crown, the country, and the grief. at once. The world would soon see. But for now, all eyes turned to Catherine, the queen who just might hold everything together. Catherine's rise to queen. Grace under fire. When July 19, 2025 dawned, the world had a new queen, but not one draped in celebration. Instead, Catherine, now Queen Catherine, stepped into her role through a veil of heartbreak, not pageantry. Just hours after King Charles's death, the royal household confirmed Catherine's title was now official. "She is Her Majesty the Queen," read the statement, simple, historic, and heavy. Yet it was Catherine's quiet strength, not her crown, that moved millions watching. "She didn't break," one palace aide said. Even as William broke down in the chapel, she was the one holding his hand. Behind palace doors, she was the still center in the storm. While aides rushed, family members cried, and royal staff prepared for the unknown, Catherine managed the unmanageable. 3 grieving children, a shattered husband, and the weight of a nation, all at once. Her own health journey only deepened the emotion. Just 18 months earlier, she had announced her cancer diagnosis in a video that left Britain in tears. By early 2025, she was thankfully in remission. But those long nights, the surgeries, the exhaustion, it gave her a kind of inner calm few understood. "She knows what it means to face the end and come back stronger," said a friend close to the family. That's the kind of queen she is. Now, with the eyes of the world fixed on her, Catherine didn't seek attention. She simply stood beside William, poised, present, powerful, dressed in black, with a single pearl brooch once worn by Queen Elizabeth. She wore history like armor. Her coronation may have been quiet, but her presence spoke loudly. Within 12 hours of Charles's passing, newspapers and broadcasts began calling her Britain's anchor. Polls showed public trust in the monarchy surged by 17% overnight, with most respondents citing Catherine's grace and stability as the reason. She also made a personal promise, privately shared with staff. "We will not lose ourselves in the crown. The children come first." That single line reshaped the tone of William's reign before it even began. But now, as Queen Catherine prepared for the days ahead, public appearances, mourning processions, condolence receptions, she had no time to pause. The nation was watching, and so were her children. The crown had moved, but so had the heart of the monarchy. And outside palace walls, the people were already responding. The nation reacts. Mourning meets hope. By 10 a.m. on July 19th, the first flowers were already lining the gates of Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, and Windsor Castle. The air was thick with grief, but also with something new. A fragile hope. King Charles III was gone, but the monarchy wasn't broken. It was shifting. The BBC, Sky News, and CNN ran non-stop coverage. Tributes poured in from around the globe. President Biden, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and King Felipe VI of Spain all released official statements, mourning Charles's passing and welcoming King William V. Outside Clarence House, crowds sang "God Save the King," their voices trembling. But it wasn't just global leaders paying respect. Everyday citizens shared their grief online. One woman from Liverpool posted, "He wasn't just our king. He was a father, a gardener, a fighter. Rest in peace, Charles." Meanwhile, donations to environmental charities linked to King Charles, like the Prince's Trust and the Wildlife Trusts, spiked by over £3 million in a single day. His legacy, even in death, was working. The Commonwealth responded too. From Canada to New Zealand, flags flew at half-mast. Australia declared a national day of mourning. And in the Caribbean, leaders from Barbados, Jamaica, and St. Lucia issued heartfelt messages about Charles's quiet diplomacy and climate advocacy. But despite the global attention, all eyes were now turning inward, toward William. Could he rise from this sorrow and lead? "The monarchy now rests on William's shoulders," said a commentator on BBC Radio. "But it's Catherine's strength that steadies him." And the British public? Divided. Some clung to grief, struggling to accept the loss of yet another monarch just 3 years after Queen Elizabeth II. Others felt this was a needed step forward. One royal observer wrote, "This isn't the end of an era. It's the beginning of the Wales era." As King William V and Queen Catherine began their first full day on the throne, they did so not with parades, but with purpose. Next would come tributes, reunions, and decisions that could reshape the monarchy forever. And behind closed doors, William, still grieving, still learning, would begin the most personal transformation of all. William's emotional transformation. By the early hours of July 20th, 2025, the man known for his composure had finally reached his breaking point. King William V, less than 24 hours into his reign, was found weeping quietly in the private chapel at Windsor, alone, head bowed, crown not yet adjusted to the weight of it all. He wasn't just mourning a monarch, he was mourning his father. Palace insiders revealed that Catherine found him there, his hands trembling, eyes red. "I'm not ready," he whispered. But her response was firm and full of love. "You are." He believed you were. For Prince William, now king, the moment wasn't about duty. It was about pain. This wasn't how he imagined inheriting the throne. Not in July, not in such silence, and certainly not after watching King Charles III fight so bravely through more than a year of cancer treatment. 2024 was the worst year of my life, William had told friends months earlier. Watching my father and Catherine both ill, it was like being trapped underwater. But now, only one of them remained, and that loss changed everything. Sources close to the palace say William has become more reflective in recent months, more deliberate. He often rereads notes his father once scribbled in the margins of speeches, highlighting words like climate, duty, and grace. He's also started journaling, a habit his father encouraged him to begin after Queen Elizabeth II died in 2022. Charles wrote down everything, an aide revealed, and now William's doing the same. It's helping him process. Publicly, William has always been the reserved heir, strong, strategic, and cautious. But privately, those closest to him say his grief has cracked something open. A tenderness, a new kind of emotional depth. He's also leaning into fatherhood more than ever. Just hours after being crowned, he returned to Anmer Hall to put Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis to bed himself. "I want them to see me the same," he told Catherine. "A dad, not just a king." His connection with the public has already started to shift. In an unplanned moment on July 20th, he stepped outside the gates of Kensington Palace, where thousands of mourners had gathered. He spoke softly, hugged a young boy in tears, and told him, "You remind me of myself." And in that moment, the country didn't just see a king. They saw a son, a father, a human being. But the crown doesn't wait. And as William's transformation continues, his next challenge is even greater: protecting the future of his family and the monarchy for the next generation. The Children and the Crown, a future rewritten. Everything changed for Prince George the moment his grandfather passed. Now, at just 12 years old, he is second in line to the throne, a title once held by his father for more than 40 years. And though the crown still feels far away, the future is now moving much faster than anyone expected. The family's inner circle confirms that discussions about George's future began within 24 hours of King Charles's death. Royal tutors, advisors, and child development experts were all quietly briefed. "We'll go gently," Catherine told staff. "He's still a boy." But the signs of change are already there. George has begun sitting in on more formal events. His security detail has doubled, and sources say he's been given early lessons on state protocol, royal history, and even constitutional law, subjects most kids won't touch until university. "He's taking it seriously," a close aide said. "He doesn't want to disappoint his father." Princess Charlotte, now 10, has also stepped into a quiet leadership role, especially with Prince Louis, who at just 7 doesn't yet understand the full gravity of their grandfather's death. A family insider shared a touching moment when Charlotte told Louis, "Grandpa's in the stars now, but Daddy's still here." Louis, the youngest and most spirited of the three, brings light to a house now shadowed by grief. Catherine often says, "He reminds us to smile." And during the somber coronation, he was seen whispering jokes to George, easing the tension in that moment of overwhelming responsibility. For the Wales children, everything has shifted, from the schools they'll attend to the roles they'll grow into. Family trips, public outings, even bedtime routines are being restructured to prepare them, slowly, for the life ahead. And it's not just about titles. It's about their identity. Their home at Adelaide Cottage has already begun transitioning into a formal royal residence. New staff have been hired. Advisors are now stationed nearby. The once private family space is becoming a preparatory ground for Britain's future royals. But despite the weight of expectation, William and Catherine remain protective. "We will raise them with love, not legacy," William reportedly told aides. "They'll know who they are before they know what they must become." That promise is already shaping decisions behind palace walls. There will be no boarding schools unless the children choose, no mandatory royal tours until they're older, and no pressure to perform. Only encouragement to grow. As one era ends, another begins. Not with crowns or coronations, but with bedtime stories, garden walks, and quiet guidance. The future of the monarchy isn't in gold. It's in George's hands. The royals left behind Camilla, Harry, and the Divide. In the wake of King Charles III's death on July 18, 2025, the family was left stunned, but some absences were louder than words. Queen Dowager Camilla was seen arriving at Balmoral Castle just minutes after midnight, wearing a black coat, head bowed. She had been by Charles's side through every treatment, every surgery, every sleepless night. A royal source said she whispered to his doctors, "Don't let him go alone." For her, it wasn't just the end of a reign. It was the end of a love story that had endured over 50 years of secrecy, scandal, and redemption. Yet inside the palace, whispers grew. Prince William and Princess Anne had reportedly grown cold toward Camilla's family, even before the king's death. Tensions worsened when Charles insisted on involving Camilla's relatives in more formal royal spaces, an issue that allegedly caused a heated confrontation earlier this year. Now, with Charles gone, the future of Camilla's place in the inner circle is uncertain. "She's respected," one aide explained, "but not essential anymore." At the same time, across the Atlantic, the silence from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle was deafening. They didn't fly in. They didn't post a tribute. They didn't even release a public statement until 2 days later. A short message of condolences that many royal fans felt lacked warmth. Public reaction was brutal. Social media lit up with accusations of disrespect. But behind the scenes, some insiders suggest that Harry did reach out privately to William, offering condolences and even suggesting a short visit. It wasn't a reunion, said one insider, but it was something. And that means more than people know. Still, the rift remains. Sources say King William chose not to involve Harry in the Emergency Accession Council or the overnight coronation. There were no video calls, no olive branches, just a painful, frozen silence. Meanwhile, Princess Anne, the late king's most trusted sibling, has stepped into a steady advisory role for William. Their bond has deepened since the loss, with Anne reportedly telling him, "We carry him forward by doing it right." As for Camilla, she remains in the background, Queen Dowager, not Queen, respected but no longer influential. The family dynamics have been reshaped. With Charles gone, old alliances are fading and new lines are being drawn. Whether the wounds within the House of Windsor will ever fully heal remains to be seen. One era has ended, but the emotional divides left behind are just beginning to show. A new era begins. William and Catherine's bold monarchy. As the sun rose on July 19, 2025, Britain had a new king and queen, King William V and Queen Catherine. But this isn't just another reign. This is a monarchy reborn. From the moment William took the oath, changes began moving swiftly through the royal machinery. Aides were instructed to reduce ceremonial spending by 30%, cut redundant staff, and accelerate the royal modernization plan, something King Charles had started, but William is now taking further. "We owe it to the people," he told advisors. "This monarchy has to fit the times, or it won't survive them." Gone are the days of grand excess. William and Catherine want a slimmer, smarter royal family. That means fewer working royals, more transparency, and a deeper connection to the public. Already, insiders say William is planning to reassign several ceremonial duties to local councils and charity representatives, decentralizing power to build a monarchy that listens. At the heart of it all is Queen Catherine. Her battle with cancer in early 2024, followed by her emotional return to public life in January 2025, has changed how people see her. She's no longer just the poised royal wife. She's a survivor, a mother, and now, a queen with vision. "She leads with quiet fire," said one courtier. "She's calm, but never passive." Every move she makes has purpose. Catherine is already revamping early childhood initiatives, launching a new £20 million mental health fund, and is rumored to be working on a major Commonwealth education project set to be announced later this year. Meanwhile, the royal couple's social media strategy has shifted dramatically. No more stiff captions or outdated photos. Instead, we now see candid moments. George playing piano, Charlotte painting, Louis laughing in the garden. Their online presence is real, warm, and relatable. And that's exactly the point. They want people to stop seeing the monarchy as a distant relic and start seeing it as something personal again. "If we keep hiding behind marble walls, we'll crumble with them," William reportedly said. Behind palace doors, Queen Camilla's reduced role has also freed up space for Catherine to shine. The transition is clear. This is no longer the Queen Consort era. This is the Catherine era, and the public seems ready for it. With plans already underway for a royal tour of Australia in early 2026 and increased engagement with younger citizens across the UK, it's obvious this new royal reign won't be quiet. It will be powerful, personal, and boldly different. Because for William and Catherine, this isn't just about tradition. It's about transformation. And Britain's new era has only just begun. A new king, a new queen, a kingdom forever changed. What comes next might redefine the monarchy forever. Stay tuned.